My next Patreon question is from Joey, who wanted me to compare two Disney phenomenon inspired by the popularity of their animated features. Which of these types of movies do you think are better, the Disney animated direct-to-video sequels or the Disney live-action photorealistic remakes of their animated movies? Both of these types were made to cash in on the popularity of the Disney animated canon movies. On top of this, I feel they both push two unfortunate stereotypes about animation. In the case of the sequels, it's that animation is only for kids, while in the case of the remakes, it's that animation is inferior to live action, because live action is more adult and mature. I don't mind when Disney cashes in on the DAC movies, particularly when it comes to merchandise and the Disney parks. I even tolerate the TV shows based on their movies, even though I'm not a big fan of those shows. But these two types of cash grabs I don't care for, because they push those unfortunate stereotypes, as animation was and is a misunderstood art form. That's an interesting question. I admit I've had mixed feelings about both the direct-to-video sequels and the recent crop of remakes. I won't deny there are some I have enjoyed. I have a fondness for the Lion King sequels, for example, with Simba's Pride doing a nicely animated take on Romeo and Juliet with lions, and The Lion King 1.5 playing around with the original movie in a fun, self-referential way and featuring lovely chemistry between Timon and Pumbaa. I found the recent Lady and the Tramp remake to be very heartwarming. The Beauty and the Beast remake went for a Broadway-style approach, which I appreciated, and I already did a video praising Cinderella not too long ago. Both the sequels and remakes do end up with the disadvantage of trying to live up to what came before. The sequels notably are given considerably lower budgets and less time than the big screen movies to reach the quality audiences expect. Although later sequels like Lilo and Stitch 2, Bambi 2, and The Lion King 1.5 did succeed in having animation that approached theatrical quality. And it's worth mentioning that the animators always tried their best. Never blame the animators for underwhelming animation, because you don't know what budgets and time constraints they are under. With the remakes, they're telling stories audiences have seen before, but in a new medium, or with new technologies in the cases of The Lion King and The Jungle Book. The challenge comes from not having to sit there and think, I could be at home watching the classic Disney version. That is something that unfortunately crossed my mind as I watched the two Jon Favreau-directed remakes and Aladdin. But to go back to the original question, which do I prefer? I honestly find the remakes to be the lesser of two evils. I do often have a curiosity in seeing how filmmakers put their own spin on the material. Yes, some of these remakes don't change all that much, like what happened with The Lion King, which felt mostly like a 2-hour tech demo to me. But Cinderella found a beautiful way of telling the story without feeling like a carbon copy of the animated film. And while Beauty and the Beast followed many of the story beats of the animated movie, Bill Condon did such a lovely job of choreographing the musical numbers, and I was impressed by the production and costume design. Meanwhile, I am anticipating the upcoming Mulan, which looks like it's going in a completely different direction from the animated film. The directors of the animated Mulan have even voiced their appreciation to Niki Caro for not mimicking what they already did in 1998. At the very least, audiences do recognize the remakes as separate interpretations of the material. Nobody is going to pass the Blu-ray for Guy Ritchie's Aladdin on the shelf and confuse it for Ron Clements and John Musker's animated telling. With the sequels, they were sold as direct continuations of the animated movies and considered the official sequels by consumers. Some of them have even been sold together with the first film on Blu-ray. This took away their specialness, and the feature animators were especially annoyed by this. Putting The Jungle Book 2 and Return to Neverland in theaters certainly did not help matters. Yes, there are a few I found passable, but I'm glad John Lasseter put an end to them. I maintain that's one of the best decisions he ever made at Disney. I think we're going to be okay without Peter Pan 3 and The Hunchback of Notre Dame 3 existing. Now let me know in the comments whether you prefer the direct-to-video sequels or the remakes, and thank you for your question, Joey.